our first question is, why did you join the Marines and how?
Well, that one I thought about a little bit, and originally I grew up actually in Longview, Washington, and Longview, Washington is a lumber company city, lumber mills and whatever, and everybody you knew was, you know, pulling plywood or doing this or doing that, and in my mind, that's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I graduated in 52, and 1953 I just decided, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. And really, I think if to answer the question, why did I? Because I could see if I stayed where I was, and even if you go to college, you're still in that mode, and I just didn't want to really be there. So, but it was a good change.
Okay. And here's that question. How did you end up on the Curtis?
Well, that's the one that we've discussed a little bit previously, and that's a difficult one to say. And as I indicated, I think if you speculate on the why and you look back, from what the officer said, Jim Brannaman, every one of us were handpicked, and I do recall being interviewed and so forth. So if you go the back way and you say, okay, you joined the Marine Corps, what did you do from there to here that generated the interest of the Curtis group, whoever they may be? So you go back and you look at each activity and you say, well, maybe that was part of it. I did graduate honor platoon, platoon 160, as I know others did that are on the Curtis within their groups. I'd mentioned to you about this is kind of a dumb story, but in Camp Merriweather, or Camp, the rifle range, which is just right up the street here, up 5, Camp Matthews, which is a rifle range where you do your getting your qualifications and so forth. I ended up with some real difficult migraine headaches, and right at the very day that we were doing the rifle tests or the final qualifications, I had a headache that I almost passed out at breakfast, standing in line for chow. And I got through that, went out in the range. I was just kind of limp as a lily, but my head was just throbbing, and got through the course, got up, got in formation, and I passed out. And I was gone in the hospital for 2 days. And as it turned out, the migraines went away, and as I mentioned, and this is kind of a dumb parallel, but it's like, well, okay, I know my DI was a sergeant was his name, and he told me once, after the graduation, that one of the reasons that he selected me as that honor platoon was because I hung in there until, I went as far as I could. So was that part of it that Brannaman or whomever looked at? You just take those little pieces, so it's very difficult to say how you ended up on the Curtis. What were the qualifications? Was it being 6 foot tall? I wouldn't have made it, So I can't really, I don't know as any of us could really pin that down. You'd have to go from the top down to ask that question.
So the first day, like right before you got on the Curtis. Oh, and when you got on it, kind of, what did you do? What was your, um, how did you feel? And
Well,
describe
it was kind of a good feeling. Uh, you know, the typical still, you know, we're getting on a ship with a bunch of swabbies and us jarheads and all of that good stuff, and the knowing you were going to be out and sailing around, you didn't relate to or really know the magnitude of why you were there. But when I was either immediately on the ship or maybe when I was still in sea school, and I had to have been after I was selected to go on the ship. I was put in the Naval Officers Training School over at NTC, and I was there for approximately 2 weeks, as I recall, to become an instructor for the Marine group on the ship. So my function when I got on the ship was instructing. And what was I instructing? It was really just keeping, in my log again in there, you'll find my little black book of all my notes and whatever. And, a lot of it was just reiterating what we had learned in boot camp, be it first aid, be it, how to rip a M2 apart or whatever. So, that was one of my main functions on the ship. And my feelings on the ship, it was just a good life. That's all I can say. It was a great bunch of people to be with, and you had all the amenities. You had the food, the movies. You had you can go shopping. As I say, I bought my camera there and other things. So I from initial reaction going on, it was different. I'd never been on a ship before, but it was nothing that other than I really looked forward to it. Once you were there.
Gotcha. So,